Yo, 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 this is Rasheed Chappell, Project City's own. You now tapped into the Renaissance. That's where we take you back, but we got to take you forward. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you come from. Peace.
All right, my name is Alex Kuchma. You guys are now tuned into the Renaissance Show, and I have here with me yet another incredible guest. This dude coming from the larger collective Trust. We haven't had a Trust MC on the show as of yet, but working with cats like 38 Spesh, among everyone else among the collective. This dude from New Jersey has a new album out with XP The Marxman called RX. Please welcome to the show, Rasheed Chappell. What's good, my dude?
What's going on, Alex? Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Man, it's a pleasure to be able to speak to you. I've been listening to you over the last little while. So when the Trust Army tapes would come out, I would listen to them, and I was always really blown away by your verses. I remember, I think the first thing that really ended up capturing my attention was hearing True Story and seeing what you ended up doing with that cut, and it was my favorite cut off of that compilation album. And then being paid attention, just tuned into what you're doing on a solo career, album after album, and seeing like the most recent album that you ended up doing with 38 Spesh on the boards was phenomenal. And then seeing this album with XP as well. I interviewed XP a couple years ago, but I haven't really checked on the dude in a minute. And seeing this album come together so well, it's a beautiful thing. And man, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm excited just to be able to dive into this and talk about this art, because I think the art's worthy of discussion.
Oh, well, I appreciate you tapping in. It's always still surreal that people still listen. I've been doing this for 10 years now, 11 years almost. And it's like the fact that people still listen still like wow to me. So I'm a fan of the culture. So I'm happy when people tap into the music.
Man, it's crazy that you've been doing this for so long, because, as I said, I haven't been tuned into you for 11 years, right? Not at all. Maybe 2 years at the most. Hearing when those compilations would surface, maybe 2019, 2020, something of that era. But even more recently, getting really into your discography. I had no idea that your career ended up going back that far. Tell me a little bit about that origin, I guess. How did you end up getting started in hip-hop culture?
It's always, coming from the tri-state area, like you couldn't avoid it. It was everywhere. It was the older kids at school. It was, if you got any uncles, if you had any aunts, if you had TV or radio, you just couldn't avoid it.
Sure.
So it's always been a part of me. I initially got involved probably like my freshman year of high school. It was kind of like a challenge to write a rhyme. And so, I did, and I kind of just fell in love with it. I've always loved words. I've always loved, people who could put stuff together and captivate a crowd. So emceeing seemed like it kind of maybe called me more so than me choosing it. And once I started getting into the history of it and seeing where it came from and just the power and impact that it was having, and I'm talking like the late 80s, early 90s, it was just like, yeah, like this is what I was made to do.
Wow, so you're rhyming at that period of time and having fun with it anyhow among peers. But at what point do you start deciding, hey, this is something I actually want to do? I'm not only am I gonna write and I'm going to rhyme, lunchroom ciphers, that sort of thing, but I'm gonna record myself and I'm gonna polish that sound and treat it like a craft. At what point does that start to come to fruition?
I think I probably really started taking it seriously probably when I was about like 18. I recorded my first demo, which was like so trash. It was so funny. Shout out to my man Darius. We did it on his karaoke machine. We had his little sister Kim singing hooks. It was crazy. That's when I like first took it serious. So I want to say this might have been like the mid 96, 97, somewhere around there. And I was like, yeah, like this is what I really want to do. And it was just like a pursuit, like where I'm from, we had some acts that had gotten major deals. We had World Renowned signed to Warner Brothers. We had K-Def and Larry O.
Chino XL, so at that period of time too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and we had Naughty by Nature was the biggest thing in the world. Redman was the hottest MC. Yep. So it was like there was an avenue, there was a way, that I thought that I could get in. And it was just really, like you said, about perfecting the craft. Like I was under no illusion that just having talent would get you in the door, because there was so many dope MCs from Nas to Mobb Deep to The Roots to, Redman to Biggie to so many people that I knew that, coming in, I had to be as good or better than these guys, so it was just about really focusing on the actual craft of emceeing. It wasn't about the flash, it was more about the substance. So I really just honed in on trying to perfect the substance. And, that led to me, recording more, writing more, collaborating more, and eventually getting to where I am now.
Man, it was so competitive at that period of time because there was amazing MCs that just never ended up seeing the light of day. Someone like, even in New Jersey, someone like Sean Love, for example, that dude was dope, right? Like the first couple Sean Love albums, every Sean Love project, I fucking love. And that dude didn't really end up seeing the light of day. And that happened so often back then. Whereas I feel like now, with the internet becoming a little bit more of a leveling playing field for these cats, I feel like if you are dope, people are going to start taking notice. Now, that's not to say that everyone that's dope is getting the limelight that they deserve. I definitely don't think that's the case, and there is a marketing level that you have to commit yourself to as well. But I do think that the playing field's been a little bit leveled.
Yeah, absolutely. The internet, even everything out, so
Yeah.
you don't need the major distributors or the major PR pushes to get your music across to the people. With the advent of like TikTok and Instagram stories and reels, you can, pretty much be your own marketing team, your own PR guy, like everything. Yeah. So I definitely like the way things are set up now.
Yeah, and communicate directly to your fan base as well, right?
Say again?
And communicate directly to your fan base as well, right? Not just not having that separation, I guess, right? There wasn't always a way that you could communicate to your fans, and you always had to go through that middleman, I guess, right? That label or that magazine publication or that interview or whatever, right? You weren't just able to say the stuff on your own.
Correct. There was always, like you said, that buffer, which in some instances I think created a dope level of mystique, between the artist and the fan. That separation allowed them to be like superheroes and larger than life. However, now there's no, literally you can come to the studio with me. I can go on Instagram Live and you can literally be there with me for the whole process. I think when Static Selected did the album with Bun B, and it was just a 24-hour cycle where they did the album, and you saw the people coming in and the verses being written. We could have never had that back in the day. So, I think that's super dope.
Man, it's amazing. So 96, 97, you recorded your first demo. You're 18 years old at that period of time. There's obviously a big gap from then to now. What happens in that interim period? Obviously a lot, but in terms of your career and taking it more seriously.
Life happens. I became a dad early. All the while I was making music. All the while I was pursuing music, and
sure.
we well, New Jersey, New York. I'm 13 miles away. I'm 13 minutes from Midtown Manhattan. That's where I grew up in a city called Passaic, New Jersey, Project City. You hear me shout it all the time, but you could literally see Manhattan from my grandmother's project window.
Gotcha.
So it was just a grind. It was going to the New Yorican Poets Cafe with Bobito Garcia as the host. It was sitting in an office with Steve Rifkin and him telling me that my music was dope. However, Loud had just folded and he hadn't created SRC yet. It was going to meetings, with Trackmasters. It was a whole bunch of, learning the ropes, learning the process. It was learning how to craft songs, having management. I was managed early by Black Coffee management, who also managed the Black Eyed Peas, and I learned how to write songs. I learned how to find my voice. I learned how to, dance in different pockets of the music. So it was my training ground, and then in 2008, I hooked up with Kenny Dope via a producer by the name of Malik. And by that time, I was seasoned. I had, I've done Marley Marl's Future Flavors radio show. I had been around DJ ACL. I had done some things. So when I hooked up with Kenny and we did the first project, Future Before Nostalgia, it sounds like that because it had been so much work up until that point. And so from there, it was just, I'm never satisfied. My favorite song is always my next song. And it's just about constantly trying to elevate the art, my personal trajectory, trying to move it upward. So that's always what it's been about.
So, from your perspective, the 2015 2016 kind of shift, right? So, this show is called the Renaissance Show, and the idea is that's the term that I've heard used a lot in different interviews, or the new wave, or rap's new wave, whatever you want to end up calling it. But around 2015, 2016, there seemed to be a shift within underground hip hop, and it went towards that upstate New York. It went towards Griselda, Trust, DeCloth, even what some cats were doing up in Canada, people like Brown Bag Money and Daniel Son, Future Wave, etc. They seem to really end up taking over this kind of underground hip hop wave, transitioning it from a period of, say, Army of the Pharaohs and Jedi Mind Tricks and Snow Goons and that kind of era that was happening a little bit prior to then. But this shift here that's happened, one, I think it's producing a lot of really credible art, absolutely like stunning, marvelous art that I love. And I think the marketing aspect of it, I think there's so many unique aspects to this current scene, but you're tapped into this scene, right? So you've been doing things for a long period of time, and I feel like you've started to find your groove. You start to find your place in hip hop, and I feel like hip hop is starting to really embrace you over the last few years with this new movement kind of coming into fold. What are your thoughts on, I guess, that transition? And from your perspective, how did you end up even getting introduced to cats like 38 Spesh, for example, and some of these cats that were coming out and transitioning into that new wave?
I really think that the hiatus between my first album and my second album, there was a 7-year gap. I think that brought me back in to the fold. It's kind of like a new MC, because the way that this it moves is so fickle. It's every year, every 6 months, every 3 months, every month, people are dropping projects.
Yep.
That it gave time for my name to, people that knew, like people within the industry. I get a lot of love within the industry. So they knew who I was. But the fan, in 2011, if he was, 15 in 2011, he missed my first album. But if he's 23 years old now in 2018, now he's tapped in. So I'm a new artist to him. So I was introduced to Spesh, of course, through just the music, listening to, different, Rappers Out of Control or Headquarters with Premier. You get introduced to the music. And I reached out to him to have him on a song of mine, which the world hasn't heard yet. I reached out to him to have a song of mine. He obliged. And then he actually had made a comment on Twitter about wanting to do a project with an MC. Who should it be? And I was like, well, me. And so from there we linked up, So we linked up we both were performing at a show in Jersey, and we linked up there. We conversed some more, and it was funny. He was doing the 1995 project, and he was asked about me from the vinyl distributor, and so that kind of made him say, okay, well, wait, I wasn't really tapped into you. Let me get familiar. And so after, we talked about, with the history and everything, like we just kind of locked in and we knocked out the first album, Ways and Means. And, it's really been dope watching just like the crews form and how they're rocking from the Cloth to, Brown Bag. Like you said, even Army of the Pharaohs, how they've done it with, Apathy and Paz and,
Yep.
Reef and everybody. So like, that's really dope. But, when I came in 2011, I want to say like, it was dope watching the Outdoorsmen, with Action Bronson and Mayhem Ren and Shaz and, watching these crews, how they move. And it was just, it's dope because it reminds me of when we were young, how we had our crews and how we would go to different places. And so that energy and how people are collaborating, how I have songs with Daniel Son and have songs with Ason Eastwood, and I have songs with Mussolini, and I have songs with, people like Planet Asia, who is, to me, one of the greatest MCs of all time. I think that's dope how we're able to kind of move, in the scene like this. I don't ever really remember it being like that when I was coming up.
Yeah, I always felt like there was a divide, and I've spoken to a lot of cats that I guess are in a similar position as you, right? They were recording artists in the 90s. Someone like Dante, for example. Dante used to go by Al Sham. He was in a group called Al Sham and KP, and they dropped an album called Street Visions in 1999. Toronto hip hop, great album, fantastic listen. But completely under the radar by most heads. It's one of those like rare, kind of hard to find Discogs items. And he had left the scene for a long period of time because he didn't really necessarily have a place in it. But with this new kind of wave, it seems like there seems to be more recognition that, hey, the shit that I really wanted to do all these years, it feels like that's finally having like an avenue for me in order to create, right? I spoke to Graf recently as well. He was another one that he was shuffled around in the industry for a long period of time, but he was making a particular type of hip hop that he wanted to end up making, and he felt like there wasn't really a place where he was currently going, and it was all these industry problems and struggles and dilemmas and just this constant bullshit back and forth dealing with drama of the industry. And people like 38 Spesh were able to, and Flea Lord, for example, were able to basically present this guy with an avenue of, wait, here's a scene right now that you can make money, you can be a viable recording artist and be financially successful, not having to completely bust your ass. You don't have to resort to things like touring exclusively in order to make your money, and people are going to embrace the type of art that you want to make. And I think that's a really special component to this scene, and I think it's a component that we didn't really see until recently.
I mean, I never dealt with like the politics. I came in, indie. For me, the hiatus wasn't a disenchantment with the industry. It was more so we were on tour. We did 2 European tours. We were, all over Germany. We were all over, where were we? Switzerland, Sweden, Japan. We were everywhere.
When was
this?
This
was from 2011 to about 2013, 2014.
Gotcha.
Puerto Rico. We were everywhere. The album was very successful. In fact, it was so funny. I was having this conversation literally yesterday with Hus Kingpin. He had made a comment on the on Twitter about just how people have shifted with the new sound, particularly the Griselda sound. People have really been trying to copy and imitate that sound, and I'm a huge fan of Griselda, and I love it even more when they do it. People try to copy the formula. It doesn't quite have the same feel. And, he posted an old clip of like maybe 2008 or 2010, 2011 of him rapping. And he's like, if you've been on this wave, like, show me. And so, I chimed in and was like, well, I was, and he was like, yeah, I remember, when your shit sold out prior to selling out being, popular.
Yeah.
We were moving vinyl back in 2009. And so, I've always been on this wave. Like, this type of music has always been the type of music that I've made. Like, if you look at my earlier discography to now, there hasn't been a change. There's been an evolution, but there's been no change. I haven't changed the optics. I haven't changed the sonics. I haven't changed the message. Any of that, it hasn't changed. It's just evolved. And so during that time period, I became a better artist. I'm working with, Grammy Award-winning artists like Deion Farris. I'm working with Raheem Devon. I'm working with, so many different Avery Sunshine. So many different artists from different genres, learning more about music as a whole. That when we, unfortunately, Kenny lost his father during that time. He had his first kids, which was a set of triplets, so life was going on, and, we were making music. We just hadn't put it out.
Yeah.
So when 2018 rolls around, it's a whole new scene. It's a brand new energy. It's a brand new movers and shakers. Like, blogs don't really exist anymore. It's just a whole new everything. So I kind of had to jump back in and find my footing. And luckily, I believe authenticity will outlast anything. People were able to tap into the authenticity of the music. And that's why, like you said, this love and this appreciation I've been getting over the past couple of years has really been showing up because, I've only shown up as my authentic self, no one else. And I think that people appreciate that.
Talk about someone like XP The Marxman, because XP The Marxman is someone that has been doing work for quite some time, and I feel like is very undervalued as an MC. Doesn't necessarily get the respect that he deserves, even within this new wave. So even people that are checking up week by week and tapped into what's currently going on, XP is someone that yeah, it just hasn't really got that recognition among those individuals. And I feel like it's almost a disservice. But how did you end up linking up with XP?
He had rest in peace to his mom. He just recently lost his mom. And about a year ago, he made a post about her failing health, and I like DM'd him. I didn't know him from anywhere, but pardon me, dealing with my mom in and out of jail and her addiction and everything, like I just felt something in the way that he worded it that I wanted to reach out. And so, we talked, and I just told him, hold your head, and life is real, and you didn't come this far to come this far. And so he told me he would be in New York, and I was like, well, when you get here, we'll link up, whatever the case may be. And he came out here during the reveal of, rest in peace to Fred the Godson, to his street being named in the Bronx.
Yeah.
And it was just a quick meeting. It was like maybe we met for I don't know, 10 minutes maybe. And I introduced him to Spesh. Spesh was there, a couple other people. And I was like, yeah, what are you doing later tonight? Like, let's link up. And he's like, cool. And he had like another session or whatever the case may be. And he had, he came through, and we ended up doing the first song off the project, which is Congregate. And it was just a good vibe. And, we ate some food, we chilled out. We did a second joint, which turned out to be Hefty Loke. And, we just were sending music back and forth. And I'm a huge fan of letting the music speak, and I believe XP is the same way. Like, he's not with all the extra shit. I'm not with all the extra shit either. Like, my whole thing is like, if you put the music next to the music that you think is, just let them play. Let's play your song, play this song, and let the people decide. Right? There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of fluff that goes along with this shit, and I'm not really a fan of that. I'm just a fan of making consistently good music, and then it'll find its home. So when I linked up with XP, he had that same energy, and he's like super dope. Like, I think of myself as being someone who is not to toot my own horn, but I think of myself as being an elite level MC. And so for XP to rock with me for 12 tracks, I think that says a lot about, what I think of him as an MC, because I've never done a collab project before. And I think that says a lot to, what he's capable of, because a few of these records was his idea, and I had to meet him where he was. So I just think XP is somebody who I definitely think in the next few years is definitely going to get his recognition as being one of the trailblazers, not only for being Mexican, from being from LA, and rapping and sounding like he does. I just think that he's very innovative. I think that he hasn't even really fully touched into his full musicality, because I've been in the studio with him and I know what he can do. And I think once that translates to the people, then, he's going to be one of the gatekeepers over the next maybe 5 to 10 years.
Man, it's crazy that you say that the relationship is so fresh, right? It's only been over the last couple of years, last year or so, but also the fact that the relationship was born out of a sense of grief, maybe a sense of healing, and having that relationship again be so fresh, and then making a record together. Listening to this record, I had no idea. Right? This record doesn't come off as a grief album. It doesn't really come off as an overly sentimental record in a lot of ways. This is a very hard kind of street oriented album, right? It has growth and maturity on there for sure, and those are things that I feel like I've really respected from you as an MC. But it has this underlining almost hardness, right? This is a hard album. This is a really hard, aggressive, dope album, and it has moments of light in there, maybe. It has moments of reflection to some degree, but it doesn't come off as that's the project that you guys were trying to make. Was it difficult at all to maneuver maybe some of those feelings that you guys were still going through to making this album sound the way it did?
Not really, because we're artists at this point, you know what I mean? So this is what we do. And, music for me has always been kind of an outlet anyway. So like the music, the song, the beat, it kind of dictates to me what I'm going to write. There's no real preconceived notions as to, okay, I'm going to go write about this. So as the tracks were coming in, like the very first song, for instance, like it was just for me, just a filling out process. I wasn't super familiar with X's discography at the time. I just thought he was a cool dude. I didn't know what he was
Sure.
capable of, like really lyrically. So when we came in and we did the first record, like I kind of, I just kind of floated on the track, but he really went in, Eating Heroes and Hempstead. I'm like, oh shit, okay, like he rapping. So the second song, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna rap, and once we got that out of our system of being the best person on the track and started making songs, everything kind of fell into place. Everything kind of took shape and was about making great songs. And once we did that, the project kind of shaped out the way that it did. And one thing I learned from Kenny is not really listening to the songs that you have, but listening to the songs that are missing. So we listen to what as I'm listening, as we're doing these records, I'm listening for what's missing. What don't we have a song like? What tempo is missing? What emotion is missing? And so once we got towards the end of the project, you see the change and just and the vibration. Like we took you up, we took you street, then we took you to a more, introspective place on songs like Reminders and
Yeah.
Save a Spot,
Those moments of reflection.
So that was
yeah.
Definitely intentional.
Man, it's really interesting. Not only that, but also who you end up getting with this record, right? So based off of the relationship that or the dynamic anyway that you are kind of painting here, the producers, the collaborators, so people like recognize real, like Buck Wild. Buck Wild has a beat on here. DJ Eclipse does this thing on here as well. These are very established names, right? Maybe recognize real is a little bit less so than some of the others, but like Buck Wild and DJ Eclipse, very much recognized names. I love the fact that they're on here, and I love the sounds that they offer for this project. How did they come into the picture? Were these relationships that you were able to bring forward? Because it doesn't seem like necessarily XP would have those sort of connections this early yet. XP's dope, but it just doesn't feel like he's tapped into that degree.
So DJ Eclipse is a staple in the culture. So like to have him as part of the project, like that was very dope. For those that don't know, DJ Eclipse is also my manager, so it wasn't really difficult. Yeah. Pardon me. It wasn't really difficult to get him on the project, just like his timing, if he had the time available to make it happen. But once he was tapped in, like he's a professional, so he sent his scratches in, no problem. I recognize Real as a producer who I've been working with for probably 2 years now. He produced the full 15 Minutes in Queens project, which I dropped in July. We have another project coming. And I record probably 90% of my stuff at his studio in the past 2 years. So he's just somebody I'm super familiar with. Buck Wild and I have had a relationship for a few years. We did the project last year, Sinners and Saints, fully produced by Buck Wild. So he's like, I call him Uncle Buck at this point. So when I told him that we were doing the project, him and XP, they met, they had a good energy. He was like, whatever you need. He sent me a pack of beats and was pretty much like, whatever you want, take it. And so, we chose Sinful Saints. Rock Marciano, who produced the track on here, that's a connection through XP. Like I'm cool with Jazz, which is Rock's manager. And it's funny, Rock and I have never met over all these years. But that's a relationship through XP, so he was able to bring Rock to the table. And, we produced a super dope record. I went out and grabbed J Royale, somebody that, I'm familiar with, who I thought would add some spice to that particular record. And it just kind of came together like that. So it was us using all of our resources to make it happen.
That's fair. What's happening with the distribution of this record in terms of vinyl or CDs or tape? I know vinyl is really important for this new wave, and it seems to be the number one kind of marketing push for a lot of these artists, because that's how they're making money at this period of time. What's happening with some of the vinyl? I know the album that you ended up doing with 38 Spesh this year, that was pressed up. Was it Tough Kong that ended up putting that one out? Who put that one out?
Who I believe Tough Kong did put out the record. Yeah, Tough Kong put out Checks and Balancers, yes.
Okay.
For vinyl only. That hasn't gone to digital distribution just yet.
So what's happening with this project in terms of vinyl?
This project is going. At this point, no, we haven't secured a vinyl deal. I believe the CDs are sold out. I'm not sure. We pressed a limited run, signed and numbered 100 CDs, and I believe they're gone. If I'm not mistaken, people like physical copies at this point. So once we, announced that, like, the orders just came in, I'm glad you mentioned that. I got to check with the distributor to find out. But I believe the CDs are gone. Right now, vinyl, not at this moment. Is released digitally. Is doing very well on the streaming platforms. And vinyl is something that I dibble and dabble in. Not every project has had a vinyl release. Because with vinyl, you can kind of always go back, depending on how a project does. And the people will kind of clamor for it a little bit more. So it's kind of knowing the market and knowing when to strike with it. But for this one right now, there's no vinyl. But I definitely think with the response, there will be vinyl.
Man, I would love to be able to own something on wax for this release. I feel like physical media in general, and not just vinyl, and perhaps even more on other formats, because let's be honest, a lot of people, I think, at this point, especially with this new wave and how fast things are selling out, and it's almost looked at as an investment in a lot of cases. People are keeping the shit sealed. They're not opening it. They're treating it like art, and maybe the engagement with the vinyl is maybe a little bit less than some other mediums, but especially something like CD or tape, I feel like it adds longevity to a release. There's so often that there's albums, especially around that, like, let's say that Dat Piff era of mixtapes and whatnot, that were released digitally only, that I thought were dope at the time. I was listening to them week by week, and I was reviewing the music, and I was tapped into that scene, but I never go back through my hard drives and say, oh, like, I want to listen to that. But I can't tell you how many times I go through these shelves behind me, and I look at a CD, and I say, oh shit, let me put that aside. Let me bring that out to the car. Oh, we're going for a drive. Let me pick something. Oh shit, I haven't heard that in 10 years. I didn't even know that album existed anymore. Like, it's so far out of my memory, but I return to it because I own the physical media. And that doesn't happen with me with digital files. I know it's possible. Like, you can definitely do it with digital files, 100%. The accessibility factors to the extreme, but it doesn't necessarily force that re-examination process on you. And without that, I find a lot of releases just end up disappearing. So I think the physical media aspect of a release really helps the longevity to an album, and I think it's something that not a lot of people really think about when they're putting out physical product. They're thinking of the immediate return on investment, and for that matter, they should be. Like, it costs money to do something. You need to make sure it's a worthwhile, financial, sound decision for you to do so. But I think that added bonus of longevity is something that people don't really take into account, and I think it's important.
I think it's, I think it's like you said. It depends on how it plays out, right? It depends on the project. It depends on what the return on investment is going to be. Like, so it just depends. Like I said, I could see definitely a vinyl release for this project. The beauty of our market, though, is that we don't have to release the vinyl the day that the album comes out. It's not like the old days with the label where everything came out at once.
Yep.
So we can allow it to create a buzz. We can allow it to create a market for it and then release it.
Man, I'm excited for whatever ends up coming out with this. I'm excited for all the future work that you have coming up as well. What is currently kind of cooking? I know you're promoting this project. You have the new album with 38 Spesh. Everything's still recent and fresh, but what are you currently kind of working on? You seem to be one of those artists that release a lot of material very quickly, so I assume you have other stuff kind of in the bag.
Well, it's been a build up to this point. Like it was kind of like 2011, 2018. 2019, I released one project. Excuse me, I didn't release anything in 2019. 2020, I did 2 projects, and this year, this is my 3rd project that we released this year. And going forward for 2022, I do have a few projects that's already been, in the tuck. I have a project with, like I said, Recognized Real, that's already done, mixed and mastered, ready to go. That's been shopped, and people got, we were just waiting for the right offer on it. As well as a project that I'm almost done with Little Vic. Vic Arena, who is a phenomenal producer. He just did Freeway's last single. We also have a project with the Archetype, who, if you look at my last couple projects, has been doing all the mixing and mastering of my projects. He's also a super dope producer out of Boston. And there's some other things in the works with some, hip hop legends that I was able to, blessed to be a part of, that I'm looking forward to dropping as well. So I'm always working. Like literally before we spoke, I was just trying to schedule some studio time to go knock out some other stuff. So like it's the work never stops,
Man, for those listening at home, if you aren't familiar with Rasheed Chappell, well, if you're hearing this on the radio, you're going to be hearing select songs from the new record anyways, and probably some other cuts that he's done elsewhere. So you guys are going to have an idea of who he is. But if you're watching this on YouTube, go do your homework. Check out the dude's discography. Go through the streaming platforms. Check the shit out. And then support. Buy the vinyl. Buy the tape. Buy the CD. But do your homework. This dude's really, really dope. And check out the new record as well with XP The Marxman. It's a fantastic project from beginning to end. I was a fan of it. It's the reason why I reached out to have this conversation with you, because I was a fan of the record itself. Where can people find you? Where can people stay up to date with current music?
Oh, you can check everywhere. Wherever you get music from, I'm there. Whether it be Spotify, whether it be Apple Music, whether it be Tidal, YouTube, anywhere that you find music, I'm there. So Instagram, Twitter, Rasheed Chappell, like no spaces, nothing like that's me.
Man, thank you once again so much for coming out. I appreciate it. And I'd love to have you back on again in the future whenever you do end up dropping new projects. I'm a fan. I stay up to date. I'm tuned in. And I would love to be able to talk to you again whenever new shit ends up coming out.
Alex, absolutely. It was a pleasure, man. I appreciate you for having me. Yo, this is Rasheed Chappell, Project City's own. You now tapped into the Renaissance. That's where we take you back, but we got to take you forward. You can't know where you're going if you don't know where you come from. Peace.